Before we get into the next section, let's just sit here for a minute. Okay? Forgive yourself for everything leading up to this moment. Okay? Because I'm pretty sure that no matter where we are harboring something that we're in ourselves that we're disappointed with, that we think we did bad in the past, that we think, you know, we could have done better. Today, because you're starting on this new creative journey, okay? We can't take this with us. So anything that you are holding grudge against yourself, today we're forgiving it. We are hosting a creative motivation course today. This is a 7-part course and today is day 1 of the course. So if you guys are interested, it's happening every Monday at 11 a.m. EST. And we'll do this every Monday until it's over. But if you guys miss out on any of the streams, I will be recording and posting all of them up on YouTube as well. All right, who's ready? Let's get rolling. Did I get any, Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, Kira, thank you for the follow. Sale, thank you for the follow. Frankie, I appreciate you guys so much. All right, let's rock and roll. Let's do it. So this is a subject I feel really, really passionate about, and I think it applies to anybody, but I say creative motivation because I know a lot of us here are artists, and I really want to tailor the experience to people who are creating content. So if you are someone who finds that you're lacking in motivation or maybe in a little bit of structure, this can work for you whether or not you are creative, but today's course is aimed towards creatives because that's what I am, that's what a lot of you are. So I'm gonna be asking a lot of questions as we go through. I want to make sure you guys are on board with me. If you have anything that you guys want to chat about or discuss afterwards, we added the channel in the Discord for the creative motivation stuff, so you can check that out too. I will be giving you guys maybe not for today's course, but after the courses where it applies, I'm going to be giving you guys like worksheets and things some tools to help you be successful even after the courses too. Okay? Sound good? Hopefully this beast back here doesn't decide to interrupt, but if she does, bear with me. So I want to start today. Part 1 is basically going to surround your why, understanding what your why is for why you're doing what you're doing, and your motivation. So a lot of creative individuals operate under this idea that inspiration is the thing that should fuel your projects or get you basically in the mood to create. So inspiration is the process of being stimulated mentally by something, and especially to do something creative. Now, by waiting for inspiration to hit before you work on a project, the issue there becomes it's not within our control. So when you are not in control of your, interest in your projects or what you're doing, it's going to mean that there may be big gaps between when you work on something and when you don't. And if you're setting yourself up to become a content creator or you want to work for companies, you're going to have to be able to work even when you don't feel inspired. And so this is going to be especially when you're doing a job, a lot of times you're going to have to take jobs that aren't inspiring or they aren't things that you want to do. And sometimes even when you want to do something, you're still just like, I don't feel like it, right? We've all been there. I've been there. I know you've been there. But inspiration's also fleeting. So it comes and goes and it's just not reliable, right? So that's why we want to focus on building a creative foundation with motivation, because motivation is something that is within our control. So it might seem like it's not, but we're going to go over today how it is and how we can manipulate it to work for us. So we can decide to be motivated, and your motivation comes from your why. So like your why is your purpose for doing what you do. Motivation can be influenced by inspiration, but again, you can't wait for inspiration to hit. Now, inspiration is still a powerful thing because you can still have times where you're inspired, and I think you should capitalize on those times when you're inspired and jump into something and use that inspiration, but that's not the only source of our motivation, right? Let's do this. Thank you for that tier 1 sub, 10 months. Thank you so much. Okay, so inspiration versus motivation. We're gonna experience both, but the one we want to really grab a hold of and work towards getting used to using is motivation. So this process is gonna take time, and learning and understand how to be motivated is something that's gonna require patience and practice. So I really want you guys to be kind to yourself in this process, and just like painting or writing or riding a bike, whatever you're doing, it all takes time. It's not gonna be, you didn't learn art overnight, you're not gonna learn how to motivate yourself overnight either. But I'm giving you the tools to do that today, hopefully. So I like to start reminding, whenever I get into this funk where I feel like I don't want to do something, or I'm struggling to get started, it's important to remember that you are in charge of your own future. So be kind to yourself through this process, but also be self-aware. So let me ask you guys this, everybody in chat, and I want you to kind of like sit with this idea for a minute. You don't have to answer right away, just think about it. When you wake up and you look in the mirror every day, can you look at yourself and say, I'm doing the very best that I could be doing every single day? Do you go to bed at night feeling like, today I busted my ass, today I earned it? And we'll talk about maybe why you haven't, but I want you to be self-aware of this. I want you to think about it. Because too often, it's very easy to just kind of float through life thinking, you know, you're taking steps towards your goals. But we might not be doing the very best that we're doing, and it's much easier to tell ourselves that we have already done enough, or maybe we're blaming external circumstances for the reason we haven't done something. Right? So sit with that for a minute. Are you doing the very best that you could be doing today? That's important. Today. Today masterclass. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Big nope. Nope. Depression, fatigue. We'll get to it, Rio. We'll get to it. Think about why procrastination hits. Do nothing. Oh no, blood. I do always keep in mind that I should push myself further if my body can handle it. We'll talk about that too, Lilia. I think I can do more. To be honest, I feel like other things have more control over my time and attention than I have control over myself. So, yeah, Maven, that's another big thing I really want to talk about. Depends on the day. If I get out of bed, then yes. Okay. So everyone, this is good. This is good. This might not seem good, but you guys are reflecting on this. You're thinking about what you do on a daily basis. And a lot of you are saying you aren't doing the very best, which it might seem like a bad thing to recognize that, but by recognizing it and realizing that maybe you could put in a little more, then you're making a choice. Like, believe it or not, right now you're making a choice by accepting that, you know, maybe today you haven't done as much as you could, or yesterday, but today you're gonna do your very best, right? Tell yourself that. Today I'm gonna do my very best. Feels good, right? Because you're gonna rock it. Today, for not sure, could have done more. It's okay. It's a process. It's all about getting used to it, practicing it, patience. And I wanted to start the course with letting you guys know that you need to be kind to yourself, because this process is not easy. And it is so easy to get really, especially when you like come to things like this, where someone is trying to motivate you, talk you into being motivated. And it's so easy to be like, yes, I'm ready. I can do this. Let's freaking rock it. And then you fall into the trap of you go really hard and then you lose all your motivation, and it's like, it's a vicious cycle. So we're gonna be thinking about a lot of things today, but how to like keep that balance and keep it going. Not just for today, when you have me here telling you can do it, let's freaking do it. We're gonna take steps so that you guys can motivate yourselves too. Yeah, Lilia. Hi, Havoc, how you doing? Okay, so basically my job today is to remind you guys that you have the ability to do it. I'm just gonna be asking you some questions today. Some of them might be tough questions. Honestly, I think like looking in the mirror and being honest with yourself about whether or not you're doing everything that you could be doing today, that's a really hard question to ask yourself, because it's almost like, it feels like blame, but it's not blame, it's acceptance. And once you accept that fact, then you get to decide, today I do better, okay? And you can do this every single day. All right, so there's no wrong way forward, and I can guarantee you guys that mistakes are gonna be made. Sometimes you're gonna fall off the wagon, but the mistakes are gonna help you grow. And whichever path you are on, whichever part of your journey that you are on, there is no wrong way forward. There's only forward, okay? Let me take a sip of this Serpent's Lake drink. Except that I'm turn on crap rave. Listen, that's okay. So let me shift your mindset there a little bit, Blood, right? Because you can accept that you didn't do your best today, but that doesn't make you crap. Like that doesn't mean that you are a lesser creature, right? So accept that there is room to grow. Accept that you have the power to do more. Not that you're crap, not that you failed. Accept that you are in control, right? And that feels good. That feels good. That's gonna push you forward. So anytime you're reminded, I haven't done my best today, just know that you're accepting that you have room to move forward, and it's time for you to take action, right? So your like I was saying before, your journey is your own. So it's gonna be very individual. It's gonna be at your own pace. And you have to remember that your individual circumstances might alter your journey. And whether or not that's the case, you're still on your way. So let me ask you guys this, and I really do encourage you guys to share here, because I think social media gives the perception, it really skews the perception on this, but how many of you have other obligations outside of art? Like, you can't just wake up and paint, right? Some of you might have kids, some of you might have another job, some of you might have, I don't know, maybe you have a disability, maybe you have something that holds you back a little bit more than someone else. Just remember that those things don't stop you. They just alter your journey a little bit. The job does, yeah. You can do more than you think. You absolutely can. Never felt in control of anything. No, we're gonna change that today. Full-time 40-hour job, 8 animals in the house chores. Yeah. Like, you've got a lot going on. And social media only shows a glimpse of someone else's life. So when you have all these obligations, the reason I'm bringing up these obligations is because when you have all these obligations, sometimes you might only have an hour or 2 hours, maybe even 15 minutes of your day to like sit down in quiet and do what you want to do. But that time's still important. But it's important that you recognize that might be your allotted time for whatever it is you're trying to do, and that's okay. And you can still make progress with that. Remember, it's all about taking steps forward. Doesn't matter how big or how small, you're just taking steps forward. But lots of people have obligations outside of art. So I want you guys to remember that the things that might seem like speed bumps or hiccups in your journey, that's just your journey. That's just part of it. And you guys can still create even if you only have a little bit of time. It's all about consistency. So if all you have is 15 minutes, you better put that 15 minutes in your calendar every day and utilize the shit out of it, right? Hi, Jax. I'm doing great. How about you? A little hesitant when you started, when you elaborated on the acceptance part, and now I'm in. Oh, Brett. That's how you get them. School plus handicap, pain most of the time when I hold a pencil. Yes, exactly. And think about it this way. So there are people out there who wake up every day and maybe their schedule is wake up, eat, do art, sleep, rinse and repeat. And that might be why they're able to pump out art every single day. But that's not your journey, right? So many people have other responsibilities, every one of us. And so just remember that the time that you do have is very valuable. Doesn't matter how much. And it's part of your journey. You gotta remember that. Get a lot of hand pain because my illness really unmotivates me. Make sure you rest. Take that time. Recognize that that is not your fault. That is not your fault. Do not blame yourself. Do not blame yourself for needing rest. Do not blame yourself for not being able to work as much as other people. Remember that this is your journey. I'm gonna say it a million times. This is your journey. Use the time that you do have, the time that you aren't hurting, the time that you can focus, the time that your kids are sleeping, the time that you have after work. Use that time. And you can do great things with it, because even if you only have 15 minutes a day, that's more than someone else who has 4 hours after work every day and all they do is watch Netflix. That 15 minutes is gonna carry you further because you actually did something about it. Only have 15 minutes, that's not enough, has always been a huge excuse. Yeah, it is. I really do think it's an excuse, but it goes back to what I said about you asking yourself, am I doing the very best I could be doing? And if your experience is 15 minutes a day of putting in that work for that thing you want to do, that's doing the very best you can do. And that's fantastic. You have to recognize that too. Just because you can't put in an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours because you don't have the time doesn't mean that your 15 minutes isn't kick-ass. Because a lot of people won't even do 15 minutes. Oh, Annabelle. Gotta bust out pencil and paper. Get it, baby, get it! So envious of people that are able to do art for multiple hours a day. Love to do it more so I can actually learn more and improve faster. Rio, look at it this way. You have an advantage here, right? So because you only have an allotted amount of time because of your limitations here, that means that every time you stop drawing, that desire to draw or create burns even brighter in here. So the next time you create, you're gonna put 110% into it versus someone who gets to paint all the time, right? They could paint whenever they want, whatever. They don't have that because it almost loses that spark. It's like this. Say you really love ice cream, right? If you started eating ice cream for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, would you still like ice cream as much? Probably not. You'd probably get sick of it. Same thing with doing art. Good vibes, everyone. Rest is positivity in its own way. Absolutely. Do not beat yourself up for resting. And if it is a situation where you are unable to do more because of a physical limitation, that is never your fault. Do not beat yourself up for that. And recognize that beating yourself up for that, for something that you cannot control, that is going to kill your motivation. So be kind to yourself. Remember that some things are out of your hand, or out of your hands, and the things that you can control, those are the things that you should be focusing on. Focus on every day looking yourself in the mirror and saying, did I do the best that I could do? And remember what you can and cannot control. 100% disabled, so if I get out of bed, it's a win. I love it, Leonida, I love it. I think you have to celebrate those things. Because for someone who isn't disabled, Leonida, they take that for granted. They really do. I think that's a great point. Recognition, recognizing that your best is different, is unique, and an individual is valuable. Yes, but you have to be able to recognize it. You have to know that this is my best, and I did do it. And go to bed proud of yourself every night. Can never have too much ice cream. Okay, well, Mio, you're an exception here, I guess. Okay, art burnout's what I suffer from. Glad I was able to finish my latest piece. Now I'm struggling to start another one. That, Havoc, that's gonna be one of those situations where you need to tap into your motivation, and we'll get more into it. But that's why we're doing this. That's why we're building this foundation with motivation and then building up to it. And the more we get through the courses, the more you're gonna have tools to when you get stuck in that mindset, like, what do I do next? After work, I'm not feeling bad about resting. Ended up not making a post yesterday because of a migraine and felt so bad about it. Out of your control. You don't choose whether or not you have a migraine. You can, however, choose to rest and choose to do the things that alleviate the migraine. You can do those things. And sometimes you have to, honestly, I have to schedule in rest into my schedule because I have a very bad habit of not taking it. So, if you know your limitations here, like if you know sometimes this stuff pops up, we'll get into scheduling in later courses, but when it comes to making your schedule, put in a little bit of wiggle room for that kind of stuff. I know that some days, if I paint too long, my body gets very, very tired and I literally have to spend a few more hours in bed. So I will plan everything differently next day if I know I have a heavy painting day. So it's that sort of stuff. But work on the things that you can control. Don't fuss over the things that you can't control. It's all about acceptance. Let's see, 10 hours a day. Surgery can only work 7 to 10 hours a week. Coming to terms with it and working with a new doctor to get me to 5 hours. Oh, good. See, here's the other thing. You know, working 8 hours a day isn't right for everybody. And painting 8 hours a day, let me tell you this, I don't paint 8 hours a day. On a good day, your girl will get in like 4 hours of painting. Because not only is it mentally taxing, but it can be really physically taxing. And so I think by 8 hours is like, in America, that's like the work day, right? But that is... Nobody can paint for 8 hours straight. Maybe if you're feeling really inspired and you're on this like creative spree, whatever. But on a daily basis, nobody can paint for 8 hours. And if you're trying to paint for 8 hours, I encourage you not to. And I know there's a lot of information out there that says like, you know, if you want to get good, like paint all day, every day. Wrong. Please don't. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to kill your motivation. Nobody should be painting that long. If you want to treat art like it's a full-time job, paint for a part of your day, work on setting up your portfolio, work on your social media, work on how you're going to interact with your fans, your viewers, and work on studying. Do not paint all 8 hours of every single day. It's too much. Yeah, bruh, I do. I schedule rest. I mean, I think part of it's because I'm really busy, but I know myself and I will not take breaks if I do not schedule breaks. It's just, I think that's more to do with ADHD than like actually wanting to rest or not wanting to rest. I just forget. It was like Saturday when I was like really hungry and really thirsty and I didn't realize it till I was done painting. Painting instead of drawing, less pressure. Yeah, switching things up can be really, really good. 95 jobs, not the thing we need. I think, Momo, I don't think there's like a right or wrong way, but I think that recognizing your, if you keep a schedule and you start to pay attention to how you're feeling with that schedule, you can adjust it and then you can kind of cater it to you. So like I have days where there's more painting and less admin work, but then when I do more painting, I have to follow it up with less painting day. Like that's just how it is because I know my body. Hyperfocus and ADHD gets me too. Yeah, Oh my gosh. For anyone here in chat who struggles with ADHD, all of the things with my schedule are like tricks for ADHD. I'm not medicated, so like everything I do is just like habit. So if you guys are interested in that stuff, it's all coming. Hi, Cal. Because I'm working, but this is good talk. Thank you. Thank you for the lurk. Smell of oil paint seemed up for a good day. Oh, Leonida. Hi, Bob. Okay. I hope you have a good day too, Bob. Thank you. All right, so let's see. I guess this kind of segments into our next section where I want to talk about turning self-judgment into constructive criticism for ourselves. So it's really easy to, I guess we could talk about the whole like things you can't control. It's easy to look at things that kind of get in your way or the little speed bumps and kind of be mad at ourselves or be angry at ourselves. But a lot of times we end up saying things like you suck or you can't do this or you'll never do this or why are you the worst, right? We say things like that and those things are really toxic and we're kind of just affirming how bad we feel when we say those things. So I think it's really important that we, as part of being kind to yourself, in order to nurture your motivation, it's important that you nurture yourself, your mind and your heart. So instead of saying those things, ask yourself things like, what did I learn? What is this trying to teach me? How can I do better tomorrow? Questions that actually have answers and actually have solutions so that when you're in a really tough spot, you're not just pushing yourself further into that rut by belittling yourself or making yourself feel bad. You're actually giving your brain an opportunity to answer the question. And part of killing that motivation is when we beat ourselves down and when we start feeling like there is no hope or there is no solution. So when you ask yourself these questions, your brain's automatically gonna wanna come up with a solution. That's how brains work. They're weird like that. Hi, Toxic, thank you. I'm glad it's helpful for you. Painted way more after I stopped considering painting as a career, took the pressure off. Absolutely. It's sometimes, I know a lot of people feel like they have to sell their work in order to be accepted as an artist, and that is not the case. And I've talked about this a lot on so many streams. You know, nobody goes around asking about your hobbies, and when you tell them your hobbies, they're not like, oh, you're so good at walking or reading. Right? They're like, oh, that's cool, you like reading. But with art, people are so quick to, when you say, oh, I'm an artist, I like drawing, and they're like, oh, are you any good? That's not the right answer. Like, they should be like, oh, that's cool, can I see a drawing? So, remember that hobbyists and professionals are both artists. And if you try to sell your work and you find that it kills your motivation or kills your joy, because joy is really important in staying motivated, it is completely okay to just draw for yourself. Life hack, there's always hope no matter what. I love it, Adele. I feel like I need to put that on a sticky note on my computer. There's hope no matter what. Anxiety too can kill motivation. Speaking from experience, you can get anxious enough to be scared to even start something. See, Rio, when you get like that, I think it's really important to ask yourselves more questions and go a little bit deeper. Why, like, where is this fear coming from? What is the worst thing that could happen if I did this? But also, what is the best thing that could happen? So when you're feeling anxious, ask yourself those questions, because you're gonna, by asking yourself those questions, you're gonna actually like pull your brain out of that fear, because you're gonna start thinking for the answers. Hi, Rio. We're doing great. How about you? Hope no matter what. Time to add the quote to my corkboard. Yeah, right? That's great. Journal when I'm anxious to figure out why I'm anxious. Yeah, it's so healthy. It's so good. When you ask your brain questions, you can't be anxious anymore. It can't do both. Hi, O Nurse. Work on the 1 minute at a time, because I know I have this minute. Exactly. Being present, it's very important. So yeah, we want to work on asking ourselves questions that can offer solutions, and not being so quick to belittle ourselves in the situations where we can't do it. And sometimes even when the stars have aligned and it's the right time of day and you're supposed to be doing something, sometimes we still just can't get ourselves to do it, and that's okay too. And you have to be able to accept those times as well. Now, if you see a habit forming where every single day you can't do it, then maybe something needs to be addressed. But we can't always be on all the time either. So when you're stuck in that feeling, don't knock yourself down. Be on your own team. Because let me ask you this, okay? If you had a friend come to you and they said, man, I've been in a creative rut, and I've really been struggling to draw or paint anything. And they came to you asking for help. What would you say to them? You wouldn't look at them and be like, oh, you suck. You wouldn't say that. So why do we say it to ourselves, right? So be a friend to yourself. Say the things that you would say to a friend or a peer or someone who's struggling. Give yourself that same kindness that you would give them. I promise you it's going to be life-changing. Anytime that I really struggled with motivation, it was because I was being so unkind to myself that I felt hopeless. So be kind to yourself. Throughout this whole process, it's going to be an adventure, and it's going to take practice, and it's going to take patience, but I really want you to be kind to yourselves. But after all that's said and done, once you take responsibility and you accept that you have the power to do these things to bring you towards your goals, and you can do it as your own supporter, as your own kind voice, you're going to do so much. Now, that's not to say that you have to do everything alone. And I think it's really important that, especially in the beginning, and especially because being creative is such an isolated thing. Like a lot of us spend a lot of time in dark rooms with, 3 screens. I'm calling myself out here, and we don't reach out and talk to a lot of people, and it can be really isolating and it can hurt the process. So don't be afraid to join a community. Don't be afraid to be a part of something where other people are working towards that goal, because that is going to set you up for success. Surrounding yourself with the people who want to do the things that you want to do is going to motivate you to keep moving forward too. And you guys know, I think a lot of people here are probably regulars, but if you're new here, you guys are more than welcome to join our Discord. That's what our Discord's all about. And we all want to grow together, and we celebrate every skill level. So it doesn't matter if you're a beginner. It doesn't matter if you are a professional, a god of the art gods. It doesn't matter who you are more than welcome to come hang out with us. Need to hear this. I've been in a creative rut. Annabelle, we are here for you, baby. Never forget you live with yourself. Always be kind to yourself. Exactly. 100%. And again, just like learning art, being kind to yourself takes time. It takes practice. So be kind to yourself in the process of learning how to be kind to yourself. I think the easiest way to look at it is to just ask yourself, if I was talking to someone else, what would I say? If I was my friend, what would I say to me, right? Cannot be kind to yourself. You keep looking for something that's not findable. You run around in circles. Yeah. And, Leonida, I'm glad you said that, because that kind of talk with yourself, it often leads to a spiral. And when you get to the bottom of that spiral, it is worse than where you started. Like, you could have one wrong interaction with your painting, right? And just one "you suck" can just take you so far. It could take you even to, like, your mind goes to the other parts of your life too. Maybe you're trying to read more. Maybe you're trying to learn to play the piano. Maybe you're trying to exercise more. Suddenly, you're telling yourself that you're incapable of doing all of these things, and then your whole life feels like it's out of control. So it matters what you say to yourself in that moment, even if it's something as simple as "you suck." Don't say that to yourself. Chat will come at you with knives if you say that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's number one. Be kind to yourself. Write that down. Sometimes I start having negative thoughts and notice it and stop. That's good. So I guess to wrap this section up, I don't want you guys to think that you can't have negative thoughts, because that's not negative thoughts are part of our emotions. It's part of who we are. So you can have those negative thoughts, and I want you to accept that you have them too, but then recognize that you can shift your awareness. You can shift the way that you talk to yourself. You can choose. And you know, maybe you might be one of those people that feels like you're not in control of anything in your life, but you are in control of the way you talk to yourself. Think about that. If you feel like your whole life is out of control, that is one thing that you can hold on to, and you get to decide. You get to decide whether today's a good day or a bad day, and if you're going to talk to yourself in a good way and build yourself up. Remember that. Hi, Zeph. Someone being hard on themselves. No, we're doing our creative motivation course. Feel social media exasperates this problem because people sometimes equate likes, follows with how good they are. That stuff is fleeting. That stuff changes. We're gonna get to more on that. But yeah, I think you're right, Lily. I think you're right. I think your mind is like a blank reader. What we say to ourselves leaves a groove like a recording. Yeah, you believe it or not. So if you hear something over and over and over, even if it's not your own thought, your mind will start to accept it as reality. So like, if you've been told your whole life that you are, I don't know, maybe people have told you your whole life that you're stupid, your internal voice is gonna start telling you that you are stupid. Even though it didn't believe that before, you've heard it so many times that it's like a broken record. And in order to change that, you have to do the exact opposite. So you have to tell yourself, I'm smart. How can I be so smart? I am so smart. You have to tell yourself that to break that cycle. And it's sad because thoughts that aren't even your own become your thoughts because of that repetition. You've heard them so many times. I had that thought last Saturday. I'm not going to dwell on the past anymore. Felt like a new light, burning fire, and actually make progress more in this subject. Aww. We'll do, so I want to do a course on social media for artists as well. And I think a big part of that course is going to be how to let go of that attachment to the numbers, because those numbers don't mean anything. They don't. They really don't. Like, hear me. Content we make is something that we put a lot of ourselves into, and then we project it out into the world. But like, we can take the energy and time that a lot of other people focus on numbers and put it into our art. So remember that it is more important that you are proud of your work and the things that you share versus you have a big number of people following you. Because guess what? I mean, let's be real. Twitter, Instagram, most of these places, they're not going to show your content to everybody on your follower list. Like, that is just how it works. So that number, if you have, I don't know, 10,000 people watching you, 10,000 people aren't going to see that thing because of Twitter, not because of you. Okay? Yeah, positive self-talk. That's how we're starting this, Sanders. I think in order to stay motivated as a creative, we have to learn to be kind to ourselves. Hi, Ravi. Used to do something like this. Told myself I was lazy all the time. Became a self-fulfilling prophecy. Yes, exactly. The more you hear it, the more you tell yourself, you're not going to be able to escape that. Like, it's basically like labeling yourself. So like, rip that damn label off and stick a new one there. Right on the forehead. I'm not lazy. I am hardworking. Hi, Chore. Gotten fewer likes on social media. The better I've gotten at art, but it doesn't really bother me. That happens, Chore, because when we grow on social media, I don't know, there's like this weird, I've noticed it too, where like my ratio of engagement and interaction has gone down the more, like, I mean, obviously I get more as I go, but like the ratio it has a much larger gap. And I just think that's how social media is. Like, it's a bummer, but like, do not let it bother you. Do not let it bother you. Might need to forgive ourselves and think now is a new start. Oh my God, Leonida, copy and paste that and just like, I don't know if the bot will let you spam it, but you know what? LS, can you just spam that in chat for a minute? Because I think before we get into the next section, let's just sit here for a minute. Okay. Forgive yourself for everything leading up to this moment. Okay, because I'm pretty sure that no matter where we are harboring something that we're in ourselves, that we're disappointed with, that we think we did bad in the past, that we think, you know, we could have done better. Today, because you're starting on this new creative journey, okay? We can't take this with us. So anything that you are holding grudge against yourself, today we're forgiving it. Right now, in this moment, I want you to forgive it. Okay? Let it go. Because tomorrow, or you know what? Today, later today is our new start. After this stream, when we end stream, I want you to think about how you're gonna move forward and forgive yourself for what yesterday held, for what last month held, for what last year held. I know a lot of us are holding on to stuff from last year. Let it go. Let it go. Cognitive behavioral therapy helped me so much. 10 to 20 week program with a doctor. Yeah. Learn to let it go and reset the day. I love it. Don't make me freaking cry. Oh, Momo. I'm like getting a little emotional myself. Last year was hard. You guys know. You watched me cry for 3 hours on stream. Forgive yourselves and move forward. And we're all moving forward together. I'm with you guys. Hashtag crying. Listen, it's okay to feel that way too. Like, making a change is hard, and making a change is you're gonna feel a lot. It's not just gonna be some unemotional thing that happens and you move forward. You're gonna feel a lot. You might feel a lot today. The fact that you're making this decision and you're making this change, you're gonna feel a lot, you're gonna go through a lot, and it's gonna be a process. But forgive yourself, be kind to yourself, and remember, like we said at the beginning, you're doing the very best that you can today. You are doing the very best that you can based upon your position in life and your circumstances. I accept this. Normally I say I reject this, but no, today I accept this. And you guys should too. Now, we're gonna get into another question. And I think, oh, Motor Hug, thank you. 11 months, baby. Thank you. So yeah, we're gonna get into another question. And at first listen, first glance, whatever, I think you guys are gonna have a knee-jerk reaction to this. But I have to ask it, and I'll get into why. But the big question is, do you want this? Is this something that you actually want? Or are you just doing it? Are you just telling yourself, you know, I need to do it, I should do it, someone else is doing it, so I'm gonna do it? Do you want this? Because the bottom line is, whether subconsciously or consciously you think you want this, if you don't want it, you're not gonna be motivated. And I know that sounds simple, but it's not, because a lot of people do things because they are told they should, or they need to, or it's the best thing for them. That is not always the case. That's not always the case. So another one of those questions to sit with and really think about it. Do you want it? Do you want it? Are you doing it for FOMO, or you generally wanted to do it for you? Yeah. And I'll get into this more about how we figure out whether or not we do want it as we go through this, but I want you to think about that. And part of wanting it means that going back to being in control of our situations, part of wanting it has to do with being able to ask yourself the hard questions, right? Making yourself a little uncomfortable, getting out of your comfort zone. It also requires that you put in work and you put in time. And, you know, nothing is ever easy, right? When it's worth doing. So you have to put in the work. You have to prioritize your time. And again, these are all things that you have control over. So we're really trying to focus on those things that we can do our very best in, right? So we have to also stop blaming outside factors. So things like people or circumstances. And again, if those circumstances are things that you can't control, you have to learn to accept those. Otherwise, you're going to beat yourself up. So we've got to stop blaming outside factors. Okay. And this one's a tough one. And I'm curious too. And again, it's a hard question, but I want to ask you guys here in chat. Have you ever blamed something or someone else for not doing a project, not getting started, not doing a thing you wanted to do? And I have. I absolutely have. A lot. But a big one for me was actually before I even started doing art, when I graduated. I graduated and, well, it was right before I graduated. And I wanted to go to art school, right? But my dad didn't think it was a good idea. And so instead of moving forward from that and doing, you know, I still did something I enjoyed, but I didn't do art. I really wanted to do art. But instead of doing, you know, continuing with my career and still doing art, I decided to blame my dad for no longer being creative. And I didn't draw or paint or do anything creative for 5 years because I blamed my dad because I didn't go to art school. It wasn't his fault. I mean, he made a decision for me, and obviously I would have been using his money for that thing, but it wasn't his fault that I quit drawing. And the decision that he made at the time was his own best judgment. He wanted to take care of me. He thought it would have been better for my future if I did something else. But for a long time, I blamed him. And it wasn't his fault. And I lost 5 years of doing something that I really love doing because I was like, what's the point? Dad says I can't do it, so I guess I can't do it. And it's sad because a lot of people give up on their dreams because someone else said that they can't do it. But who cares? Let it go. You can do anything that you want to do. It is not up to anyone else. But when we blame other people, we're losing control. We're giving up our power to make a decision to do it anyway. So that means that there is no chance because we've given up our power. Yeah. Have you fallen for the romantic idea of artists? Did you really like doing art? Don, that is, oh my gosh. That is a big one too. Like seeing and romanticizing the artistic career or the artistic lifestyle and thinking that you want it because of some perceived lifestyle that they have. That's a big one too. Listen guys, I am so proud of you all for sharing this stuff because these are really tough questions to ask ourselves and reflect on. Not only just to ask ourselves, like I feel like accepting this within ourselves is already incredibly hard, but to share it with a community of maybe strangers. You guys really want this. I can tell you really, this thing you're chasing, you really want it. Easy to blame others, had to pinpoint what it is about ourselves that we can change. Absolutely, Joanne, absolutely. And that's powerful. Being able to be in charge of our future. Time has passed. I think if I was convinced enough, I could convince my parents, my friends, everyone that's stopping me. I think so too. I think because, you know, I'm successful with art now, but if you had seen my art back then when my dad said like, no, art's not the way that we're gonna go, you would have understood why he said no. But that didn't mean that I couldn't do it. But because I blamed him and I accepted his denial as like a shutdown, when it wasn't. Because like my dad loved my work. Like he had kept all my stuff when I was a kid, all the little things I made. Like he loved my work, but I don't think he believed that there was a future in art, and he just wanted to take care of me. But I know he wasn't trying to shut me down creatively and tell me, you know, you don't ever do this because no one will ever like it. He was just helping me make good decisions about my future. But because I blamed him, I lost all power of being able to continue doing what I loved. 5 years that I gave up art. Hero, thank you so much for that tier 1 sub for Chore. Thank you so much, Hero. You're a freaking blessing. Hi, Moon. We are great. How about you? I feel like I need to listen to this every day. Hi, Shay. Shay, I'm here 3 times a week, baby. You come hang out with us. See, on the note of sharing with strangers, really taken back by the warm reception of my painting on your Discord. Y'all are lovely. Not used to that. Aw, Chore, you deserve it. That's what we're there for. That's what I was saying about our Discord community. If you guys are on a path of being creative, doesn't matter what you make, if you guys are on a path of being creative, don't do it alone. Don't be like every other little artist, shrimpy gremlin who hides away and doesn't talk to anybody. It's very isolating. Find a community. Find your people. They're gonna help you grow. Surround yourself with people who have the same goals and same excitement for art as you have. Hi, Dragon. Still struggle with blaming my dad. Hard to break for me. You know, Dragon, this might be really, really hard, but maybe having a conversation with your dad and finding out, you know, what his reasoning was. Whatever it is that you're blaming him for. Maybe like have a deep conversation with him and shine some light, because a lot of times we try to find the solution or the answer as to why something happened. And so many times, I mean, a lot of times there's no reason, but if you can reach out to him and have a deep conversation with him, maybe you'll find something that maybe wasn't what you thought. And maybe it came from a place of like real concern. Father would constantly tell me to stop drawing, get a real job. He'd have me be a housewife and went his way, and I'm not sharing art or even acknowledging I did art till I finally said no more to him. Oh man, sometimes Anika, sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you can't, I don't have this in the course, but Anika, I think sometimes you do have to cut ties like that, because there's nothing wrong with cutting out the people who don't lift you up and help you feel excited about what you're working on. That doesn't mean that you have to cut them out completely either. Maybe you just stop showing them your art, or maybe you just stop including them in whatever creative process that you enjoy. But you're going to become like the people you surround yourself with. So if you surround yourself with a lot of people who are excited about art, who are encouraging about art, or maybe they also create, you're going to be more motivated to create as well. Now, that can't be the only thing that motivates you, but that's gonna help you. That's like a tool to help you. I had to stop including people in certain aspects of my life. They aren't supportive about certain things I enjoy and love. Yeah, and just because someone doesn't enjoy something that you like does not mean that they need to be unsupportive. Someone can be disinterested in art, but still give you a thumbs up when you show your work, right? Like there is no reason that they need to be like, I don't like it. No, no. Can I use a cattle prod to motivate me? Val, whatever you need. Oh man, okay. So yeah, we have to stop blaming outside factors, because ultimately it's up to us to go and get the thing that we want, and no one else is in charge of telling us that we can or can't do it. They can say it, but you're in charge of whether or not you do it. Remember that. Remember that. And when you stop blaming things outside of you, you feel so empowered it's like you could do anything, because all the things that you start to tackle are things that you can change, and you stop focusing on the people in your life who are negative, or the people in your life who see you succeeding and they're not doing anything, so they want to bring you down. You let those people go. You don't need those people. They want to bring you back down to their level. That's why they say those things to you. And lastly, if you know you want it, don't wait. Don't wait till the new year. Don't wait until next week. Don't wait until next month. Today is the day that you're gonna go and you're gonna get that thing you want. If you really want it, you won't wait. Now again, circumstances apply here. It depends on your journey. All right, we're gonna refer back to the journey. Whatever journey you're on, you have to keep in mind the different circumstances and things, the speed bumps, the things that might hold you back a little bit. However, if you can make a change today, or make a change as soon as you can, do it. Don't wait. You will never feel ready. You will never be ready, because nobody learns without doing it, trying it, and failing. Rinse and repeat. So do it today. And then for those of you who have asked yourself this question, and maybe you're kind of teetering, or maybe you're not sure, it is also okay to not want it. Maybe you have other obligations. Maybe your kids are more important to you than doing art today. Maybe you need to focus more on resting or exercising or your job, right? This is another thing you cannot beat yourself up for. If you want to be creative or you want to do something new, and it's never too late to start, and it is never too late to change your mind. And if you never change your mind, that's okay too, because priorities are important, and sometimes there are other things in life that are important. So don't beat yourself up for that. And if you do find that, you're asking yourself that question today and you're not sure, you can come back to this at any time, literally any time, or you can apply it to something else in your life. It doesn't have to be creative. But there's no wrong way forward. Like I said at the start, being kind to yourself, there's no wrong way forward. So as long as you're moving forward in a direction that makes you happy, then you're going the right way. Best time to start something was yesterday. Paragon, I love it. I love it. Follow my dad's path for me. Failed at those things also because I didn't want it. Also, Dragon, look at it this way. So you may have gone down a path that your dad wanted for you, and maybe some of those things might have felt like a mistake, but you have still learned something. Even if it's just a detour on your path, you've learned something. You've learned what you don't want, and you've also picked up skills from doing that thing that you didn't want that might apply to whatever it is that you want to go for. So don't discount other skill sets or other discoveries as something that sets you back, because knowledge is everything. It's power, and you can choose to use that knowledge and apply it to something new. And I've used this example for people who've gone to, maybe they go to art school for something like, maybe they go for like 3D modeling or something, right? And then they find out they actually really love illustration. Well, you have learned a ton about form and light, and everything that you've learned as a 3D modeler, you can now apply to your illustrations. That's not a loss. That's so valuable. Yeah, of course, Dragon. Yeah. Well, the advice you're giving here needed this today. Oh, Joanne, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. The bottom line, though, no matter what you decide, if you want it or you don't want it today, the decision has to be made within. So it cannot be influenced by external factors. And we talked about this, but I want to go a little deeper into that. So a lot of people, I'm going to use the example of like comments on social media. Whenever people talk about getting comments on social media, the first thing they usually talk about is like, somebody said something negative on my post and this discourages me. This makes me not want to draw. That can't be a determining factor of whether or not you keep going. However, it goes both ways. So if somebody says something nice on your art or your post or whatever it is you've done, that can't motivate you either. And I know that that sounds a little weird, but the problem with that, the problem with that is that the positive feedback is also fleeting. So if that positive feedback ever stops, guess what? Your motivation, gone. It's gone. So it's okay to like accept those comments, right? And be like, you know, say thank you and enjoy them because they're nice. But do not let the good or the bad influence how you feel about your work. So don't let that naysayer who says, oh, you suck at drawing hands, make you want to stop drawing hands. And don't let the person who says, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful, you're so talented, don't let that person push you forward either. It all comes from within. So once you get out of the habit of letting other people influence what you think of your work, then the motivation is much more steady. And we'll get to that more when we figure out your why. And that's going to be our next section, but it'll be a little easier once you figure out why you're doing this, right? But there are ways to utilize good and bad influences, but we're not going to go over that today. I do want to ask those of you in chat though, has there ever been a time when a good or a bad influence changed or altered or dictated the way that you felt about your work or your motivation? Since we're on the topic of motivation, have you ever felt the weight of somebody's comment and what it's able to do to how you feel? Think of it this way, social media are likely to get about 5% of interaction from your total following base. You may not get any comments at all. Waiting for the positive reinforcement is even more detrimental. Yes, yeah. And you know, Rio, I'm glad you brought that up because especially if you're a new artist, because as a new artist, your engagement is going to be, you might not even have any engagement yet. So if you wait for those good comments and say you wait for like months or a week or 2 weeks or whatever, and then you don't get it after that month and then you quit. And then if you had just kept going another month, you would have gotten those comments. You also wouldn't have given up. So it's not about getting that feedback. And we'll get into this more with our why we're doing what we're doing. It's not about that feedback. It's what our why is and how it makes us feel. And if we are relying on an external factor, we will quit every time. Like, I guarantee you, there is nobody who has reached their definition of success by waiting for other people to validate it. Let's see. I love this. I love that everybody's gone through this because you know where I'm coming from, and we can understand how it makes us feel, and then we can understand how to utilize it. Everything in life. I've done Aikido on a high level. After a while, people wanted me to teach the sport. I didn't really want to. Declined, but every time anyone said, oh, you're doing this so well, you should teach, it really killed my spirit for it all. Aw, Branch. Someone called my work useless, so remember the comment was one only negative comment. Let's see, I got amongst so many positive ones, but this one still lives with me. Slouka, I have one of those too. And you know the screwy thing is that it was from an anonymous message. Like, I don't even know who it was. It could have been someone that I don't know at all. And they basically told me to stop doing what I was doing because they didn't think that my work had value compared to someone else's. And that was hard, like that was really hard to swallow because that was back when I think maybe I was into learning drawing again for like three months or so. And that's hard to swallow back then. And I mean, it's still hard to swallow now, but I feel like I've got a better grasp on my why and my motivation. So usually comments like that kind of like, it's a bee sting, and then I'm like, okay, moving on. But back then it's hard. It's really hard. So I have to stress this more than anything, because a lot of our artists who are brand new or they're just now embarking on their journey, don't let this stuff stop you. Don't let the lack of comments or the negative comments stop you. Going into drawing, I have to give perfects for each example I draw. The hive mind I drew, because I was giving fun with the stream and I posted because I thought it was funny. So yeah, so you had a reasoning. You knew why you did it. Yeah, I love it. Sounds a lot like stoicism. I love stoicism. I think it's great. Let's see, from one random person I've never seen before, I'll probably never see again. Yeah, like most of the time it's someone you don't know, or like they're anonymous. Just stuff like that, you gotta let it go. It has to remember their journey starts at different points in their lives with different knowledge and or experience. Yes, but what we touched on in the beginning, and it's just like, that is the foundation of it. Everybody is on their own journey. Everyone has their own speed bumps. Some days are rainy, some days are sunny. Everybody's days and experiences are gonna be different. But yeah, so finding your motivation, or finding, building your motivation from within is going to be how you set yourself on a path to harness motivation and no longer rely on inspiration. But every day is an opportunity, whether or not you can see something before you. But the question is, are you going to accept it? Are you going to get up every day and tackle that day? Like, today is the day that my art post is gonna go viral. Today is the day that I'm gonna take my art to new levels. Today is the day that I'm going to get on stream and I'm gonna motivate somebody else, or I'm gonna draw for somebody else. You have to choose. You have to choose. And that brings us to our why. So this is another big question. But why do we create? Why do we want this? Why are we working towards whatever it is that our goals are? It's good to know that we want it, but you can want something without ever doing anything about it. And that's why the why is so important. Because if you can want something all day, every day, but if you don't know why you want it, nothing is gonna drive you to go get it. And that's why the why is so important. And today, once we finish going over what our why is, I want you guys to, I'm gonna give you guys homework when we're done. And it's really small. It's not like I'm sending you off to do anything huge, but yeah, I'll give you guys homework today. So, but yeah, so your why is gonna fuel your internal motivation, okay? So anytime you feel yourself lacking in motivation or feeling like you don't wanna do something, we're going to return back to our why, okay? You following me? Any questions so far about the stuff I've gone over before I get into this? So I will say homework, yeah. You think your why is all wrong? That's okay. We're gonna tackle that today, and we're gonna figure out your why, and the real why, and we're gonna get it going in the right direction. Not giving an F meter rise raises the more I age. Yeah, for real. Currently have too much motivation to the point that it interferes with other stuff. Well, I mean, that's where you have to practice balance. That's where you have to do things like I do, where you have to schedule in rest or playtime, because even it's very exciting sometimes when you start a new project or you embark on some new adventure, but you can't neglect the rest of your life. You gotta take care of your social life. You have to take care of yourself. You have to, your basic needs. You have to shower. You have to eat. You have to drink. You have to exercise. You have to clean, right? So that's where, that's a whole nother ballpark. But balance is very important. Okay, so it's important that we build a really strong why. And a lot of times that why is going to be attached to an emotion. If it's attached to an emotion, it's going to be so much more powerful than if it's just something like, I don't know, I want to do this to be successful so I can pay my bills. Like there's nothing really emotional there. It's just like a necessity more than like a feeling, right? So if you attach it to an emotional reaction, say when you were a kid, maybe you struggled in school. Maybe you had a lot of people that bullied you, or I don't know, maybe you just struggled a lot as a kid, right? And art was your escape. Okay, I think this might be a reason why some of us like lose our spark as we get older, because life kind of falls into place and things seem okay. But maybe art was your escape. And so doing art made you feel really, really good and free, and like all of the bad stuff just kind of fell away when you were creating art. Maybe that was your why. You created to escape. Or maybe creating art for you is a way of informing people. And that's a really powerful why right there, because you're using your creations as a way to communicate or talk about something that you feel really strongly about. So I want to ask all of you in chat what your why is. And I'll share mine too. But I want to ask all of you, and if you feel comfortable sharing, you know, definitely drop it in chat. But, when I was writing up this course, I had to think about this too, because I felt like for a long time I knew what my why was, but I think subconsciously I hadn't really figured it out yet. So at first glance, I thought, well, you know, my why is I want to inspire people to create art. But like, that didn't seem deep enough for me. And so, but I think that's a part of it. So I kind of dug a little bit deeper, and I think what I do, I love to create, like absolutely. But I think what I do is more, and I didn't discover this until I started streaming, but I think it's more, when I was a kid, I kind of felt like everybody and everything around me was telling me, they were like deciding for me what I could and couldn't do. And this goes back to what we said earlier about our external forces interfering with, you know, our motivation. But everyone was kind of setting these limitations on me, telling me I couldn't do things. And, you know, like who I was, like they had decided who I was. They decided why things were the way they were, and kind of assumed things about my personality. And it sort of like set this limit on what I thought I could do. And I don't know. So I let these external forces determine who I was. And I don't really remember when this changed. But there was a point in my life where every time somebody started saying something to me, where it was like, you're this, or you can only do this, or this is the way things are, I started asking why. Why? Like, why was that the way it needed to be? Even if everyone you ever encounter was saying everyone I ever encountered was saying these things, I'd always ask why. And it really got me thinking that my why and my goal here isn't to inspire people just to create art. It's to inspire people to do whatever it is that they want, that anything is possible, and that the only limitations that we have are the ones that we set upon ourselves. So it doesn't matter what other people tell us. It doesn't matter what other people think is the ceiling on your skill set or your capabilities. I'm here to tell you, in the most unorthodox way that I make art and make a living, that literally anything is possible when you take control and you put in the work and the effort and you go get it. So when somebody tells you you can't do it, or you're this or you're that, you say to their face, why? Why not? Why can't I do this? Why can't I have this? And then you go get it. because that is the only limitation. Hi, provider. I make some music. My own mind be hating. No, you got to be kind to yourself. That was part 1 of our course here today. You got to be kind to yourself. Art brings me joy and happiness. It's a way to cope with my mental health. Brings a few levels. I just enjoy creating things. Oh, I love it. I want to partake in the creation of games, even just one. It shows doing art for the popularity and the likes, but it was too vain and superficial. But Momo, the why goes deeper. So like you want to participate in that stuff, but why? How does this make you feel? How does this evolve you as a human being? How does it warm your soul, right? It goes deeper than just wanting it. Because we already know we want it, right? We covered that in the section before this. So we know we want it, but why? Really dig deep, really think about it. You don't have to have an answer today. But it comes a little easier for some people than it does others. But really find out what your why is and attach an emotion to it. Create to connect with folks. It's a wavelength I like and find generative. I love it. Yeah. Don't have a big reason to draw it, just do it because it's fun. That's fine too, Ace. That is fine too. I'll tell you why in just a minute. But the biggest thing here, okay, while you're searching within yourself for your why, this one I feel like I have to stress as like, I just have to stress this. So money cannot be your why. Or one of your whys. And this might seem backwards, and I know there's gonna be people in chat who are gonna say, Silas A, I have to pay my bills. And I'm right there with you. We all do. But here's the thing, okay? Money, just like external factors, is out of our control. So if we are doing something for the money, or this could even apply to like recognition or like popularity or whatever. If we are doing it for the money, we cannot control how much money comes in or doesn't come in. And so if your goal is money, that might motivate, if you're successful, that might motivate you to keep going. But I can guarantee you, you will not be happy. Either it will make you quit or you will not be happy. So money cannot be your motivator. But here's the great thing. If whatever you're doing comes from that emotional feeling within you, there is a much higher chance that money is going to come, but it cannot be the thing that motivates you. Ever. Ever. And you can argue with me up and down all day. There's no one arguing yet, but I expected at least like a handful of people to be like, no, money is my motivator. I expected it, but money cannot be your motivator. Ever. It is important to pay your bills, but if you are doing something that isn't making you any money right now, it's okay to have another job while you build it up. Exactly, Rio. Thank you. Thank you, baby. Yes, it's okay to have another job. It's okay. And in a lot of cases, it's a good idea to have another job. I'll argue to be contrary if you need. No. Oh. See, you have a good job that makes money, so art is a side thing. Yeah. Is money okay as a why? Because my big goal is to build a mama house with said money. So you want to do good things with your money. But honestly, instead of let me ask you this, provider. If instead of thinking about the money part of it, think about how happy your mom is going to be. Think about bringing your mom joy. I think the reason, provider, yours would work is because you want to take care of your mom, and that comes from a place of love. So it's still attached to the emotion. So even if you don't make money to start, you're very likely to keep creating because in your head, you're thinking, I'm going to take care of my mom. So that's the difference. That's the difference. Now, something tells me if your goal is to take care of your mom, but whatever you're doing, if it ends up not working or it does work, if it doesn't work, I can't see you giving up because you're thinking about your mom. So that's the difference. Aw, Annabelle, hang in there, baby. It's okay. Some of my commission money, putting it back in the art community, supporting other artists. Aw, Lilia, that's so sweet. But yeah, I really don't think money can be a motivator. So if you're struggling to tie your why to an emotion, the easiest way to figure out if you're on the right track is just asking yourself, what would make you happy? And again, another tough question, but sit with it for a little while. Write it down. Think about it. Think about it all day today. What would make you happy? Because that's the thing. Every time you're in a rut, every time you don't feel like doing something, every time the laziness bug bites you in the butt, remind yourself, why are you doing it? And doing it is going to make you happy. So, building motivation is the foundation, right? And that's going to be the building block to everything else. So that's why we're starting with the why and motivation today, because without these things, we can't get to the next level. Looking for my why for a while now, especially the days I lack motivation or I think I'm not good enough. I believe one of my why is to demonstrate I can do it, and I'm stronger than there you can't, but at the same time, that doesn't seem like a good reason. That can get you started, Belle, but it's not gonna push you when you're feeling down. So, cause again, that's a external force. So the sad fact of that is whether or not you do or you don't succeed, chances are if they think you can't do it, they're probably not watching you succeed either. So do it for yourself. Maybe do it for somebody who cares about you or somebody you care about. Kind of like Provider, like he wants to do this for his mom, and that's a really strong attachment. Gonna write a movie about what would make you happy. I love it. Lemon, thank you so much for the resub. 20 months, baby. Thank you. Used to think it'd be nice to have a passive income from things like stickers or art prints. Honestly, I love stickers. Always thought the idea of making my own would be so much fun. Could collect stickers and make stickers I've always wanted to have. Oh, it's beautiful, Maven. I love it. I love it so much. Love art and helping others. I get so much art. Even when I win a giveaway, creep on the artist page to find their donation. Oh, Lily, that's so sweet. But yeah, the big question for why you want it, if you're struggling with your why, ask yourself, what would make you happy? And I scream about this up and down all day, every day, whenever we have our streams. If you are creating work that doesn't make you happy, stop. Create the things that excite you. Create the things that make you excited to wake up in the morning and tackle the day. Don't create for clout. Don't push out a bunch of fan art because you think it's gonna get you attention. Think about what would make you happy and go get that. So help me think about my why. I think your why is so important because without it, you don't know why, you don't know where you're going, you don't know what you're chasing, and you gotta dig deep. So if you're listening here in chat today and you don't yet know your why, write that down. Write down what is my why and think about it and write it down later. And that's gonna be your homework. So when we come back for the next meeting, I'm gonna check in on you guys. You don't have to share them then, but I'm gonna check in on you guys and make sure you figured out what your why is. And if you still have a little trouble figuring out what your why, you can absolutely continue this discussion after stream in the Discord. We've got a channel in there called, I think I named it Creative Mindset. So everything from the course, every Monday when we come in and do the course, you guys can talk about it further. Let's see, hate making fan art just doesn't spark that joy. Me either, Havoc, me either. And like as much as that like bug bites me every now and again where I'm like, ooh, I could get a lot of interaction on this. There's just no excitement for me to pursue it. Cause like at the end of the day, what I want is people to be excited about my projects and what I'm making and to be a part of that. Like, I don't want a bunch of people following me who are like, oh, I want more Pokemon fan art or what. I don't really do fan art. That's just an example. So that's what I want. So I will focus on my projects and doing everything I can and being passionate about the stuff that I love, because that's gonna make other people passionate about it. My problem, not gonna lie, I create things on the basis of what I think other people would like. You know, provider, I bet if you practice letting go of that, you would be so much more excited to create the things for yourself. Even just to create them. But yeah, so that's the homework I want to send you guys off with. And I've got another section to talk about. I want to touch base a little bit more on what we mentioned in being kind to yourself, where you know, self-judgment, which is reactive usually, versus constructive criticism, which is usually more objective. So I want to go over that too, because I think that's a tough one, you know, trying to learn how to talk kinder to ourselves and say things that offer solution versus belittle ourselves. Okay, so that's the next section I want to move into. So we know you want it now. We know your why, or at least we're on the path to knowing your why, okay? But then you sit down and your brain tells you you suck and you can't do it, like we mentioned in the beginning. And that's a really shitty feeling, right? And I think the easiest way to alleviate that is what we mentioned before. Oh shoot, my captions are messed up. Oh my god, have they been messed up a while? I hope not. Oh well. It is what it is, I suppose. Okay. Not that long? Okay, cool. So, yeah, the quickest way to alleviate that is to talk to yourself the same way you would talk to a friend. Okay? We covered this, but I guess if we wouldn't talk this way to a friend or a peer, why would we ask ourselves, or why would we say these cruel things to ourselves either, right? So if you are struggling with self-judgment or with being kind to yourself, just remember that there's power in practicing that, and it's really important mindset-wise to staying motivated, because if your head is in the wrong place and you keep telling yourself you can't do it, I can't do it, you suck, you know, you're never gonna amount to anything, by repeating that to yourself, it becomes your belief, and then you set your limit, and your limit ends up being right here when it could be up here. Okay, so the difference between you being here and here is you believing in yourself, believing that you can do it. Okay, do you think it's strong enough if my why is I just want to be the best at this field? Also, already invested so much in this one, I don't want to do anything else. Oh my gosh, Lynch, this is so good. Let me talk about this real quick. So I don't think so. Number one, there is always going to be somebody who is better than you. Even if you're the best, there's always going to be someone who's better than you. So, but you're kind of setting yourself up for disappointment by saying, I want to be the best. Because I personally don't believe that there is the best or the worst or whatever. I think that everyone, especially in art, has their own individual voice. And so if there is no best, there is only the people who are going to vibe with you the most. So you can be the very best version of yourself. And if we go back to that question in the beginning of the course where we said, am I doing my best every day? I think it's better to ask yourself that question versus saying that you're going to be the very best. I think if you shift it to, did I do my best today? Or I want to be the very best I can be today, that's more powerful. But also, when it comes to the things that you're working towards, you can put a ton of time into something and decide to change your mind later. And if that knowledge that you gathered from spending all that time working on, you know, art or whatever it is you were doing, you can carry that knowledge over into whatever you choose to do. So it's not a failure to let that thing go. Because at one point, you're still on the right path, but at one point, this is what you thought you wanted. And you you did everything you could with the knowledge that you had at that time. So you learned something, you found out you didn't want to do it, or maybe you do, but maybe you still want to shift gears. And now knowing that, you can make a decision to pursue something else. And again, all of whatever you learned for however long you did it, you can still carry that and you still have that forever moving into something new. And a lot of times knowledge can move into different fields, and things that you thought wouldn't be useful can be useful. So knowledge is knowledge. And I don't think you should be afraid to try other things either. I feel like that self-judgment comes from us having two different hemispheres of our brains. One's more creative, other's more logical. It could be. I don't know a lot of the science behind the brain. But there is, I think you can, by asking yourself questions, you can kind of get on that logical level without getting, without being beaten down by it. Hi, Jacob. Good to see you. I think accepting where you are, but always trying to improve is the healthy way to think about it. I don't spend too much time admiring other people's work on ArtStation. I might feel bad about my work, but it can be a good pulse check to see where you are and see where you can improve. Havoc, I love that. I love that. Just like your self-talk, let your interpretation of other people's work be objective. So what can you learn from it without feeling bad about where you are in your process? But yeah, so going back to the self-judgment versus the constructive criticism. So if you start to look at your wins and your failures objectively, suddenly all you have is a list of things that either they teach you something. So they set you on a new path, and it's new information to help you move forward. Yeah, Rio. Yeah. I hope that's helpful, Lynch. It was kind of a wordy response, but it's such a good question. But if you can, and if you can learn to look at your artwork objectively too, you're going to grow much faster as well, because you make decisions based upon logic and not emotions, which it's okay to feel the emotions, right? Because they're emotions, we all have them. It's okay to accept them. But I think when you're looking at your work, looking at it objective and taking the emotion out of it is really important to improving and growing. It's okay to be like proud or to feel bad about where you are in the process. That's okay. But we can, as long as you're asking yourself questions that have a solution and not just belittling yourself, that's really important. So a good way to know if you are judging yourself and not being objective is if those thoughts make you feel shame or guilt or doubt. You don't want to be in that mindset. And I think if you start to feel that way, it's good to take a step back from creating and kind of rethink where you're at and what's going on in your head. Because when you feel those things, it's hard to ask those critical questions. And so take some time away, experience them, feel them, recognize why you're feeling them, and then start asking yourself some questions that are objective. Okay? So, for example, if you're working on something and you get stuck, and your knee-jerk reaction is to call yourself a bad artist, right? I think I'm calling all of us out here, because this happens to me a lot. It's just like knee-jerk reaction. I don't even think about it, right? So you call yourself a bad artist, but where does that lead you? Like, when you call yourself a bad artist, how do you feel? Like, what are your initial reactions to that? Can't stop creating, literally addicted. It's so good. I'm in this picture and I don't like it. Same. Please untag me. But yeah, tell me what you feel when you get in that mindset and you call yourself a terrible artist. What's going through your head? Do more studies to get, let's see, we're going to break you, but don't break. Do more studies to get better. Good, that's a good way to look at it. Progress lost, usually. So when you feel that way, I always say I draw terribly. Mork, how do you feel when you say that? There's a reason I'm asking you guys this. Tell myself to simmer down. Let's see, don't call myself a bad artist, but I also don't say I'm good either. That just makes me sound arrogant to myself. Still consider myself an ever learner. Well, that's healthy too, Havoc. I think that's a good way, it's a good balance on it. I think it's okay to look at the projects that the things you create and be proud of them and be like, wow, this is really good. I did a good job. That's fine. That's not being conceited. That's not being arrogant. That's you acknowledging your hard work and celebrating it. It'd be one thing if like you created something and then you went and posted it on someone else's stuff and you were like, mine's so much better than yours. That's arrogant. But if you were to post something and be like, I'm so proud of this. I did such a good job. I put in so much work. That's fine. You're proud. You should celebrate it. So you feel left out compared to the AAA artists and hyper study all day long until get burnt out. Lynch, I've been talking about this with Died lately. Actually, we just had a conversation about it yesterday. So if all you do is study, you're gonna lose that love. You're gonna lose that passion because too many times people study. So many artists are like, learn the fundamentals, only do the fundamentals, get good at the fundamentals. And then guess what? They don't draw anything. They don't draw anything they're proud of. They don't draw anything they're imagining. All they do is study, and there's no end to that. And then, exactly, you never get out of the study loop. And then you want to quit. There's no fun in that. Because the reason you started drawing in the first place is because you love drawing. So freaking draw what you want. Don't get stuck in that study loop. Work on things like illustrations and backgrounds and full drawings. Like, yes, you have to learn, you have to study, you have to keep growing, but that's not all you do. And there is no time where you're going to be ready to finally create the art that you want to create. There's just, you will never feel it until you do it. It's me, the last thing I updated is 3 years ago. Oh no. What's the point of studying if you don't apply it? Exactly. Because you didn't start drawing because you like studying. Well, maybe you did, but I'm pretty sure most people didn't start drawing because they like studying. They started drawing because they liked a character from a TV show, or they love animals and they wanted to just draw animals all the time, or maybe like whatever your reasoning. It's usually not because you like studying things. You like drawing things. So study the things that are important, but study in between projects. If you're painting a picture of a dog and you suddenly realize in the middle of that painting that you're like, I don't know what dog eyes look like, then you go study dog eyes. And then you take that information back to your painting and you finish the eyes. And then eventually you're gonna finish that painting and you're gonna be like, you can hold it up to the world and say, look what I did. I did a drawing. But if all you do is study and you never draw the picture of the dog, and you love dogs and you love drawing dogs, where is the fun in that? Why would you keep going? And now I'm called out the animal thing. Oh no, Rio. I say that when people say I draw better than them when they think they don't have their progress in good sides. Will you say what? Did I miss something from you? Feel like imposter too. Dragon, you would not believe how many people feel imposter syndrome. Like, we could all bond over it. I wrote a tweet like a long time ago. It was literally just like, retweet if you feel like an imposter. And like, that shit blew up. Like, there was nobody on that tweet that was like, nope, I'm not an imposter. Literally nobody. So I think everybody goes through the imposter syndrome, but don't let it be that thing that stops you. If anything, that should be a sign that your confidence is wavering a little bit, and you probably just need to do a little bit of studying. Not the study loop, but just a little bit of studying. Something to boost your confidence. Finish a small painting. Finish, do something in your comfort zone to boost your confidence back up when you feel like that. See, me as a child, free to create as an adult. I'm covered in chains. Oh, dragon. I've started mixing in studies in my illustrations. I no longer use references to just get it perfect. Instead, I use them loosely. I love it, Eternal. I love that. That is exactly how I tackle it too. The reference is like inspiration, and it usually gives me a little bit of an idea of like how I can push my details. Yeah. Hi, Observer. Lately, I've been illustrating my friend's wedding. They're not actually getting married. It's just fun to see how unhinged I can make us all. Oh my gosh. Anonymous, thank you for the tip. Who are you, baby? Thank you. Our friendly ghost has dropped a tip for us. If you guys are enjoying the content that we're providing here, I would absolutely love if you guys could subscribe to the channel or support on Patreon. You get extra goodies on Patreon too. But that $10 is going towards our giveaway for the Obsidian print, now that she's done. Once we reach that goal, we're going to give away a limited edition signed print of Obsidian. See. Probably the most inspired and creatively stimulated I've been, so always try to have a just for fun project. I love that. I think it helps build confidence. It helps remind you of your why, right? So get out of that study loop, because so many artists that have that influential voice, they're pounding you with study, and like that's great, but don't forget why you started drawing in the first place. It wasn't to study. Yes, you should be studying, but you didn't start drawing because you wanted to be a study artist. Because the last thing I really wanted to talk about was, along with your why, keep reminding yourself of the things that you are proud of, okay? Because in order to stay motivated, you have to be able to celebrate your wins. Too many people are so focused on what they think are failures, and they beat themselves up over just the bad stuff, or what is perceived as bad. Do not forget to celebrate your victories. When you learn something new, celebrate it. When you finish an illustration, celebrate it. When you study consecutively for 3 days, celebrate it. When you do gestures every day or daily every day for a month, celebrate it. And no matter how many you've done, don't forget to keep celebrating. Don't forget to keep celebrating it. Because ultimately, to motivate yourself, you have to feel good at the end of each project, or in the middle of projects, or after a study. And because art is a long journey, very long journey, and we never stop learning. So sometimes we're gonna struggle, and sometimes it's gonna be a little bit harder than other days. So you have to learn to celebrate the small wins so that you can get through the hard stuff. Okay? How do you work on your patience? I get frustrated when I make progress. Popular post to more followers, but backslide because I'm tired and can't keep up with the post schedule. So, Jester, big thing here. You getting more followers or engagement on a post isn't progress. What's progress is your work feeling like your work has improved. Okay? Now, I know that might sound weird because, you know, growing on social media is part of, you know, growing your social career, or like art career in some cases. However, you cannot control the numbers, you cannot control your followers, but you can control how much time and work and dedication you put into your projects. And so no matter what, if you are focusing on growing your content and improving your content, you will always feel satisfied. So maybe go back and watch the VOD or go back when we put this up on YouTube, because we talked about this in the beginning. You can't let external forces, good or bad, influence your motivation. And it's gonna take practice, and it's gonna take some time, so be patient with yourself. But try to shift your perspective there. Focus on the progress you've made in your content, and the rest will happen. Does that make sense? Do you have any questions about that? Remind yourself constantly that social media is not built for artists. No, it's not. Social media is very fast paced, and art is such a slow moving process. Proud of the fact that I've got 50 posts done on my Instagram. Jester, look at you! 50 posts, 50 illustrations, or drawings, or doodles, or sketches. Celebrate that. That is something you can control. Absolutely. And if you want to get deeper with it, you can even set yourself goals every week. Like maybe you want to post something every week. Maybe you want to post something every other week. Whatever works for you, but focus on the wins that you can control. Jevin, thank you so much for 7 months. 7 freaking months together. Jevin, I really appreciate you. I hope you're doing good today. So I know we're getting towards the end of the first part of our creative motivation course. But I want to give you guys a chance to ask any questions about anything I've said so far. And then we're also going to, I'll tell you guys what the next course is going to be about, which will be next Monday. Just noticed the new googly eye glasses. Oh, baby. Is there something on my face? Yes, thank you. I do stream Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday for those of you that are new here. But every Monday it'll be this course. For next Monday, the topic that we're going to be focusing on is confidence that leads to success. So all of the next course will be about how we're going to build up some confidence. And we touched on it a little bit. We touched on it a little bit in today's topics, but we're really going to get deep into it because motivation is going to be the base here, but confidence is like that next step that we need it. We need constant confidence and we need constant motivation. So we're going to work on building that up and figuring out some things that help build it. Okay? Confidence? Oh no. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.